said that, and then he got really angry. And then I could tell he was deadly serious. And I said, where did you learn how to speak English? And he said he'd learned how to speak English from watching English language television and going to English language movies. And if that's where he got the definition of the term alien. And he goes, we're not from another planet. I mean, he was just furious with me. You're the only person I can ever talk to say, illegal alien. That's I'm not arguing about illegal, but an alien, that word alien. I'm like, oh my God. And afterwards, I mean, a lot of you that called up after that, we're going back 20 years, we're just laughing your butts off. And I'm like, wait a minute, the poor guy was being serious. And he was. We don't mean from another planet. Alien. Alien to this country, meaning not born here. This person was alien to America. And then he became legal and blah, blah. Use it any way you want to. Illegal alien. There's nothing wrong with that term. But many in the left have deemed it to be bad, to be disgraceful, to be wrong, to be... And no, that what Chris Cuomo was saying about there was a meeting of the minds, no, that is not true. Not true. It may have been, for the sake of some speechifying and things like that. But in terms of legal documents, there's still the illegal alien in those documents. And I don't know what more to say. Just Chris Cuomo doing his best to be relevant, because he's not. Otherwise he'd have a better gig than what he's got. I don't know anymore. Scott Jennings is articulate, and he's changed his mind about Donald Trump. Many of us have, in terms of the political aspect of Donald Trump. He's not being a bully, Chris Cuomo would be probably the first to go out there and talk about, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, but you can't use the term illegal alien. Boy, that would be one of the greatest offenses in terms of legal, freedom of speech. And the way that, Chris Cuomo's talking there, he has no problem with censorship. He would never admit that. But it sure sounds like he's beating that drum. Let's grab the news. Well, I'm not going to grab it. Liz is going to grab it right now on KMJ. KMJ News.
So I bought another CDL test prep on the iPad. Gonna try and double up. Get ready for that test next week. I think the hardest part is going to be learning stick shift. Silly automatics.
something that the subject matter I call revolutionary is something that I don't recommend for everybody. It's a tough film to watch. It's pretty gory. People are saying about this movie, it's kind of a mythical alley. Now, there are many calling it a golden moment. Others, what Netflix is buying for 72. Googler has called Sinners a film that he will own outright 25 years after its release, his most personal movie. I wrote this script for my uncle who passed away 11 years ago. I got to imagine that he's listening to some blues music right now to celebrate. Reached my phone after the nominations were read. Coogler, speaking alongside of his wife, the producer Zenzi Coogler, and the other producer, Sebahanyan, they're all trying to process this movie's record-breaking haul, which none of them were set up for. I love making movies. I'm so honored. I wake up every day that I can do so. I was writing last night. That's why I don't get too much sleep, said Coogler, chuckling. Honestly, bro, I feel a little bit sleep deprived right now. But this movie is, we can talk about the contents of the movie tomorrow, if you've seen it. It is, it's a tough one. It's a wild one. And again, it's a horror film for sure. And for a horror film to do, I love the genre of horror films. Horror films, my favorite are science fiction films. I love science fiction movies. I'm kind of in a minority when I say that, but I love science fiction movies. And, next to science fiction movies, I love horror movies. This is a horror movie. Oh boy, is it a horror movie.
I never liked horror movies.